Good afternoon ครับ น่าดีมากดีมากเข้ากันมาอย่างรวดเร็ว ยอดเยี่ยมมาก Everyone is here. Ping, are you here? Taro. Hello. ภูสนะ
มาครับ
ภูสนะโอเคเอียงเข้ามายังลูกใช้พิพัฒน์
มาครับผม
โอเคแล้วสิกเรตมาร์ช
มาแล้วครับ
โอเคแล้วสุภชัยซีน Are you here Yes ฟอง already here นะครับเข้ามาคนแรกเลย
ฟ้องมาครับ
ครับผมภูรินทร์ลูกภูรินทร์
ครับอาจารย์
ครับผมธนพลอิทธิพลมิวสิกมายังลูกมิวสิกพลสังเก
Yes, Sajan, I'm here.
โอเค thank you สิทธิพลเนาะปิงทำไมยังลูกปิง
มาแล้วครับอาจารย์
โอเค
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีลูกทาโร่ธนพล
กำลังเข้ามาครับอาจารย์
มายังลูก
ฮัลโหลกำลังเข้ามาครับ
โอเค
ครูพรีเซนต์ผมนะครับสวัสดีครับ
แป๊บหนึ่งลูกนะแป๊บหนึ่งเดี๋ยวครูรับโทรศัพท์ก่อนฮัลโหลโอเคธนพลมายังอิทธิพลมิวสิก
มาแล้วครับอาจารย์
โอเคมิวสิกมาแล้วนะพลลูกพลแอนสิทธิพลเย็ดไม่เป็นไรหรอก so that I receive your
ได้
file
ครับ
ใครนะลูก
โทษครับ อิทธิพลกับสิทธิพลน่าจะผมครับ อาจารย์สิทธิพลนะครับ ชื่อผม
สิทธิพลครับผมสิทธิพลชื่อเล่นชื่ออะไรลูก
มิวสิกครับ
โอ้คือคนเดียวกัน
ใช่ครับอาจารย์รบกวนนะครับขอบคุณครับ
นะคะ
ครับ
เป็นคนเดียวกัน ชื่อสิทธิพลไม่ได้อิทธิพลนะไม่มีอิทธิพลเป็นแต่สิทธิพลมิวสิกโอเค so everyone is almost here so I received already your file thank you very much for your work so maybe this time we we will continue okay let's continue which group is ready you can share your screen for example from the group Red Panda are you here Red Panda
อาจารย์ครับธนพลมาแล้วนะครับ
นะพล okay Red Panda are you here
ครับครับอยู่ครับ
you ready
ครับอยู่ครับ
ready ยังลูกโอเค
ได้ครับ
you can share your screen ลูก
ครับ
red panda
ครับแป๊บนึงนะครับ
yes red panda ready ไหมคะ
กลุ่มอื่นก่อนก็ได้ครับ ผมขอเอา
อืม
ไฟล์อันใหม่ลง iPad ก่อนครับ
อือหือ
เดี๋ยว
and then
เดี๋ยวผมขอกลุ่มผมได้ไหมครับ
กลุ่มอะไรลูก
ยีด AS
ได้ลูก
ยีดครับ
เอาเลย
ได้ครับถ้า
โอเค
ถ้า
ยีด
ถ้า
นะ
เดี๋ยวรบกวนแชร์สกรีนหน่อยนะครับ
ยีดอะไรลูกเฮ้ยยีดส่งอันใหม่มาแล้วเหรอเห็นนะ
ใช่ครับ
แล้วลูกเห็นละโอเคยีดมาอย่างลูกยีด
สักครู่นะครับ
ครับเพื่อนเตรียมไฟล์อยู่ครับแป๊บนึงครับ
ครับลูกครับ
โอเคครับ อาจารย์เห็นหน้าจอไหมครับ
เห็นแล้วลูกโอเค
Okay, so this week we are discussing about the impact of climate change.
อือหือ
Okay, so next, Tara. The impact of climate change on different sectors of society. The impact of climate change on different sectors of society are interrelated. Like, for example, drought can harm food production and human health. Flooding can lead to disease spread and damage to ecosystem and infrastructure. Human health issue can increase mortality, impact food availability, and limit worker productivity. Also, climate change impacts are seen throughout every aspect of the world we live in.
อือหือ
Okay, so there are various aspects that the impact of climate change act on, such as water, food, human health, environment, and infrastructure.
yeah
So discussing about the first aspect is water. Water changes to water resource can have a big impact on our world and our life. For example, flooding is an increasing issue as our climate is changing compared to the beginning of the 20th century. There are both stronger and more frequent abnormally heavy precipitation events across most of the United States. Drought is also becoming more common, particularly in the western United States. Humans are using more water, especially for agriculture. And moreover, higher air temperature cause plants to lose or transpire more water, meaning farmers must give them more water. Both highlight the need for more water in places where supplies are dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
Next. Okay, so the impact on our food supply. Our food supply depends on climate and weather conditions. Increased temperature, drought, and water stress, disease, and weather extreme create challenge for the farmers and ranchers who put food on our tables. Human farm workers can suffer from heat-related health issues like exhaustion, heat stroke, and heart attacks. Rising temperatures and heat stress can also harm livestock.
So talking about the human health, you all know that climate change is already impacting human health nowadays, and changes in weather and climate patterns can put lives at a very high risk. So here is one of the most deadly weather phenomena. As the ocean temperature rises, hurricanes are getting stronger and wetter, which can cause a direct and indirect deaths to human lives. And dry conditions led to more wildfires, which bring many health risks for both human and animals also. And higher incidences of flooding can lead to the spread of waterborne diseases, injuries, and chemical hazards. And on the environment, you know that climate change will continue to have a significant impact on the world's ecosystems and organisms. Though they are not impacted equally, the Arctic is one of the ecosystems that is most vulnerable to the effects of climate change, as it is warming at least twice the rate of the global average, and melting land ice sheets and glaciers contribute dramatically to the sea level rise around the globe. And the last is the impact on the infrastructure. So basically, physical infrastructure such as bridge, roads, and ports, electrical grids, broadband internet, and other parts of our transportation and communication system. It is often designed to be used in use for 4 years or decades, and many communities have infrastructure that was designed without future climate in mind. But even newer infrastructures can be vulnerable to the climate change also. Physical infrastructure includes bridges, roads, ports. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just made a duplication of this one. So yes, basically that's all of our presentation today. I hope you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good. So I will share the screen and then let's do a little bit more in detail. Never mind. Good work. Good work. Sorry. I
อา
share
จารย์ครับ
my
มีเรื่องจะรบกวนนิดนึงครับ
ครับ
พอดีระบบลงทะเบียนของผมมันมีปัญหาเทอมนี้จริงๆผมลงทะเบียนกับอาจารย์ไปตั้งแต่แรกแล้วแต่ว่าพอมันมีปัญหาเรื่องชำระเงินนะครับมันเลยอาจจะต้องให้อาจารย์เซ็นเป็นลงทะเบียนล่าช้าผมส่งไฟล์ไว้ใน Microsoft Teams เรียบร้อยแล้วครับ
ใน Microsoft Team ทางไหน
อาจารย์ให้
เลิ
ผ
ก
มส่งในไลน์ครับ
ส่งในไลน์ดีกว่าเนาะเพราะว่าอาจารย์เนี่ยเวลาเปิด MS Team เนี่ยมันต้องเปิดคอมพิวเตอร์หรอกคอมพิวเตอร์มันไม่อยู่ติดตัวตลอดไงสิ่งที่อยู่ติดตัวตลอดคือมือถือเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยการติดต่อเรามักก็จะติดต่อทางไลน์เนาะ
ได้ครับ
ในไลน์
เดี๋ยวผมให้ในไลน์ส่วนตัวอาจารย์อีกรอบนึงนะครับ
ได้หรอกได้นะครับ
ขอบคุ
โอ
ณ
เค
มากครับ
ครับผม so I will share my screen and then let's discuss a little bit more นะครับ as an overview it's good work I will share the screen in order that the other group can see also okay now you can see my screen okay this one is the continuation of the previous assignment a little bit more that I would like to ask you to do that a little bit more about explanation of mechanism of climate change explanation of mechanism of climate change, how it occur. Okay, how mechanism is how. A little bit more detail. Okay, how climate change can occur. Okay,นะคะ, a little bit more, put more. And for this will be the assignment number 1.1. A little bit more on this. The number 1 is okay already. This is the assignment number 2. Good work. Because by doing this, we can continue the assignment number 3. Okay, let's do like this. Concerning each type of the aspect. So I would like to ask you to put more details. For example, this concerning about water, so that the climate change, why, how can it make the water increasing or decreasing, like it can make, you say that drought or flood, right? More detail about the mechanism. If this is hard to find, so try to find the evidence. Evidence, what does it mean? It means the result of some research. For example, this one we can search in the internet. We can go through our Thammasat University library to see a lot of journal. We have many published papers concerning the climate change. What I would like you to know is how, or if you don't know how, because it's hard to explain, so we try to find some evidence that say like this. For example, we can find that this one is time. And the climate change, suppose we say that it is the temperature. Somewhere, or if it is not somewhere, for example, as a global temperature in each year. So the trend is try to increasing. This one, increasing in temperature, it's climate change. And related this one to, for example, in Thailand, we focused on Moon River Basin, and we found that the average rainfall in each year is decreasing. Suppose this is rainfall. Annual rainfall, it means that it is something like the rain in 1 year. And we found that by the result of the research, we found that in the last 20 years, we have a decreasing trend of rainfall over, for example, Moon or Chi Moon River Basin. So this is evidence, the result of some research, saying that with the impact of climate change, we have less water in the northeastern part of Thailand. Understand? เข้าใจไหมครับ
ใจครับ
Okay, something like this. Then it will be more concrete. It will be more solid. It will be more convincing that, okay, yes, it's true. We proved this thing already, that impact of climate change can make water is less than the average. For example, if we can find the average of the rainfall over Moon River Basin is like this, So we found that the last 20 years, the value is under average. Okay, something like this. This is example of the evidence. So if we can put this kind of information like this, it will be very much better. Okay. Anyway, what you did is good already, but this is something that we want to clarify, to verify that it is right. It is something like that. Okay, so with this kind of thing, two things: water that is too much water. That is, in some place we have more frequency of flooding problem. Okay, no water is drought. So we have to affect this one. Okay, and with this kind of information, another thing that is important that is we have to refer to where we get this kind of information. What is the source of this information? In order that we will be something like this kind of thing will be more reliable, more convincing. Okay ไหมคะ Okay เนาะ Something like this, you say that drought is also becoming more common, particularly in the western United States. Okay, good. This thing is good. But how to verify this one? Okay, good, good. Now we have to impact. Another thing is the same. Put more evidence. And this is the another consequence, like a consequence of not enough water, right? So this is the climate change. And then we have less water. With lessing of water, then we have no food, because less agricultural product. This is a consequence of the climate change. Climate change made this one, and this one made the consequence of this. Good. This is also more evidence. And put a diagram showing the relationship of climate change, showing relationship of climate change and human health. For example, in Africa, for example, the same thing we can find in Africa, increasing in temperature with the time, and at the same time, increasing in the people dying from not enough, not safe water for drinking. So one axis, this one is the temperature, for example. Another axis here, y-axis, is the number of people that is dying from no safe water to drink, no safe drinking water. Example. Maybe I exaggerate. This is an example. Okay, and the diagram. How? Diagram like when we have a climate change, we have less water, then we have this one. This is climate change. Impact to what? And then impact to the health of the people. Something like this. Okay? This is another thing that is good for the environment. For example, this kind of environment, something like it gives the impact to seawater level rising, right? This is another consequence. We have a climate change. Do the same thing. and then what? To the melting of ice, and then after that it is sea water level is rising. Now, good. Everything is good information, but in each topic, please put more evidence and more diagram to show the relationship. For infrastructure, this is good for civil engineering student. Okay, so that civil engineering student can do this one. Impact of climate change on this kind of infrastructure. It is interesting because you talk about this, how it changed the infrastructure, and how can we think about this for the new design to adapt ourselves to the climate. Good. And everything put more evidence and more diagram. Good. So if we do like this, now we can do the list, right? Do the list, climate change, then you have a drought, right? We have flood, right? Then we will select it later on. We have what? Sea water level rising. What else? Infrastructure. Now, you should have at least six impact. Then each group can select which one. Okay? Good. ขอบคุณครับ Good work. Next group. Maybe go back to the number 1ไหมคะ
อาจารย์ขออนุญาต
ครับผม
ได้
อา
เล
จาย รย์ทาโร่ส่งไอตัวไฟล์ไว้ในไลน์ส่วนตัวอาจารย์แล้วนะครับ
ไฟล์อะไรลูก
ไฟล์ที่เป็นล่าช้าครับลงทะเบียนนะครับ
ได้ลูกได้
ครับ
ครับผม so next group who want to
ครับอาจารย์
กลุ่ม 1 ครับ
กลุ่มหนึ่ง iPhone so you can share your screen
ครับ
okay please share your screen I will stop my screen
อาจารย์ครับอาจจะมีเสียงดังนิดนึงพอดีที่บ้านเขาเจาะผนังอยู่ครับ
ไม่เป็นไรครับ พูดแข่งกับเสียงนั้นกันแล้วกันนะ
ได้ครับอาจารย์เห็นหน้าจอไหมครับ
อย่างเห็นแล้ว okay now you continue
from the last time ครับ additional information the temperature both on land and on water was rise from 1.42 degrees Fahrenheit or about 0.97 degrees Celsius from 20th century ครับ For as you see from the graph from 20th century to 2000 on the year 2000 to year 2020 the graph rise very sharply ครับ next global mean sea level has rise about 8 to 9 inches since 1980 with about a third of that coming in just the last 2.5 decades. The rising water level is mostly due to combination of meltwater from the glaciers and ice sheets and thermal expansion of seawater as it warms. In 2020, global mean sea level was 91.3 millimeters or about 3.6 inches above the 1993 average, making it the highest annual average in the satellite record. The global mean water level in the ocean rose by 0.14 inches per year from 2006 to 2015, which was about 2.5 times the average of 0.06 inches per year throughout most of the 20th centuries. This graph, as shown in the graph, the deep blue, the dark blue show the 2.5 time of 20 centuries ค่ะ โอเค
So in this slide show the graph of the impact of the climate change. Here is the stunning graphic that show where the temperature would be based on the natural warming versus where they are when you compound the natural plus the human factor. As you can see, the blue one is the natural and human factors, and the green one is the natural factors only. So next slide, please. So one of the difference between this report and its predecessor is that scientists has become more confident that the human activities as specifically the burning of the fossil fuel has driven most of the warming in the past 50 years. Next slide, please. So in addition, another graphic accompanying the report showed an impact of the most of U.S. has experienced. The reports find a clear national trend toward a greater amount of the precipitations being concentrated in very heavy events, particularly in the Northeast and Midwest. In other words, heavy downpour. So this is from this is graph of percent change in the amount of precipitations falling in heavy events. Is from U.S. Global Change Research Program. Thank you very much.
Good, very good. So you did the work very good as I want you to work. However, next time if you can put more impact. What about drought? Right? What about the drought? It impact. You have no water in which area? For example, now what you talk about is the temperature is good, and then it impact on seawater level rising. You put also sources. Okay. Where did you get this kind of information so we can see the global seawater level is rising, and then we talk about the the precipitation, which is more, but some area you have less precipitation. Okay, a little bit more, otherwise it's good. Thank you very much ปอง
ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์
ครับ
ขอบคุณครับ ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์
ครับผม Hogwarts are you ready
ready ครับผม
Okay, let's start. You can share your screen ครับ
อาจารย์เห็นจอไหมครับ
ยังไม่เห็นลูก
ตอนนี้เห็นหรือยังครับอาจารย์
เห็นแล้วเห็นหน้าตาที่น่ารักของเด็กๆ นี่กลุ่มอื่นเนี่ยเอาหน้าอย่างนี้มันน่าจะได้จำได้ว่านี่คือกลุ่มของใครจะได้จำหน้าได้
Okay, so this presentation is our last presentation, but we just add the information.
Yes, good.
So just last time that we present that climate change is refer long-term shift in temperature and weather. So today I get the global average surface temperature from the National Center for Environment Information.
Yes.
As you can see in the graph that in 1990 the temperature is like just a little bit about 0.2 Celsius to 0.4 Celsius, but after 2010 it's increased up to 0.6 and it keep increasing each year. From the table in the right side, as you can see that it's peak on 2016 that increased to 0.99. And after that, we mentioned about the human activity that made the climate change. So I get the fossil fuel consumption by fuel type of the world. As you can see that it separates into three colors, which is gas, coal, and oil, which it keep increasing each year. So that related to the last graph about the global temperature surface, that it increasing.
Yeah.
And this graph is from statistic review of global energy in 2019. And just that I mentioned it about the sea level rising by the ice melting. So the mechanism of the sea level rise is related on climate change, which it happened from the two condition, which is the thermal expansion and ice is melting, which two of these rise the sea level. For an example, some Pacific island is expected to be submerged in the end of 21st century. And just as I mentioned, what is the thermal expansion? You can see in the graphic that the thermal expansion is the expansion in water by thermal, which it happened in sea right now, and it is a major condition to rising sea level. So I get the graph which show the sea level of the world. This graph is recording by two sources, which is Thai gauge data and satellite data. In the first, that in 1920, it mentioned that it increasing by mountain glacier and Greenland ice. And in 1980 to 2020 is by Greenland at Antarctic ice sheet is melting, thermal expansion, and mountain glacier, which they analyzed it that it will increasing 3.4 to 3.6 millimeter per year after this. Yeah, that's all.
Good. Thank you very much. Good. Let me discuss with you a little bit. Good. So to make this one, I have to start broadcasting. Okay, I will start broadcasting. Good. Your group and Fong group iPhone 13 Pro Max. So you did the good work that I like because you have some evidence, okay, to show what we are talking about. This is to practice all of you to be the person who is reliable. We will not pick up some conclusion from someone, but we have also the evidence that this is already the measurement, this is already the results of some research. But let's discuss together concerning seawater level rising. Suppose that you said that this is the sea water level change. So this is maybe global, right? Global or not? Is global or not? Yeah.
Global.
Right? So it can be average, right? But this average. Some country may be not affect. For example, what about this global area and Thailand? I give an example. What about Thailand? Okay, so let's see the global. I wonder that if there is no climate change, If I see this one, I say that if there is nothing, it's still increasing. Right? This is not your fault. This is just we try to practice together how to interpret data. Right? If I see this graph, if I say, oh, maybe it is not because of global warming, because I see the trend of the graph is increasing, because we just start climate change maybe somewhere here, right? We start. What about the previous day? No climate change, but still seawater level is rising. This is just to discuss together, to make you think about this. Maybe because not of climate change. That's why I try to tell you that please try to explain mechanism of each phenomena in order that you can understand the phenomena. If we understand the mechanism, because sometimes I exaggerate. If we have this world, we have Thailand here, and we have Africa here. Suppose I have the statistic of the number of elephants in Africa. And I have this one, weight of the people in Thailand. And then I make these two things. Oh, I found that the number of elephants is decreasing, but the weight of the children in Thailand is increasing. It is because our children eat elephants? No. Sometimes statistics can tell a lie if we don't make a caution. Okay, this is exaggerate example, not just to put some value and relate to another value. We should also understand the mechanism. That's why I try to ask you first, ask to have the evidence, and then think about how it can occur. Okay, this is not your fault. It's just we just discuss together. And in Thailand, in Thailand, seawater level rising. We try to pick up the data along our coast and our mean sea level. You know the sea. This is the land, and this is the sea. As everyone knows, the sea is increasing and decreasing. Sometimes water is coming like this, sometimes it's like this, because we have the wave, right? So that's why we have mean sea level, because sea water going up and down, tidal. So in Thailand, Got Lak in the Gulf of Thailand is the place where we put the benchmark to observe mean sea level, and some other places we measure, and we cannot say the statistic of seawater level did not say that we have a seawater level rising in Thailand. It is not statistically significant. It has a little bit trend. But not statistically significant. Something like this. Okay, so it does not mean that Thailand we have seawater level rising. And some scientists say, be careful, Bangkok will be sinking and seawater level will go into Bangkok. You know why? I'm in this field. Why they say like this? Because at the gauge, this is gauge to measure seawater level. You know that is one we have another problem. Not seawater level is increasing, but what happened is our land is sinking. And then our gate is sinking. Then we have something like this. Because our gate is sinking, but we say that seawater level is rising in Bangkok. No, it's not like that. Be careful. Okay, ไหมคะ
โอเคครับ
Okay, so like this, just discussion to make you understand that the interpretation of data is important, and how to get the data. We have to know that this data is reliable. We have to check first that our land is sinking, not seawater level is rising. Okay, it's good. It's good. Then next group ครับ and Howard, maybe your group can put more impact นะคะ we have more impact than this, a little bit more impact นะคะ every group
ได้ครับ
more impact. Then after this we will select the impact that we will study on. Okay, peace, are you ready, Sanke?
Yes, Ajahn, I'm ready.
Okay, so I will
I will-
stop my screen นะคะ
Okay, Ajahn.
so please share your screen.
Share screen. Firstly, I will talk in continuation with the last presentation.
Mhm.
There is in the last presentation, I talked about the greenhouse gases and how it is related to climate change.
Mhm.
So here we can see that this graph shows the progressive increase in carbon dioxide,
Mhm.
progressive increase in the carbon dioxide. And then this shows the progressive increase in carbon dioxide over the 5 decades.
Mhm.
The concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is now over 400, as we can see from this graph.
Mhm.
With that, this represents a greater 20% increase.
Mhm.
Ajahn, excuse me, Ajahn, like I have to use my pencil, but it's not connected.
Never
I'm sorry,
mind.
Ajahn. I'm sorry.
Never mind ค่ะ it's good enough. Good.
From here,
Mhm.
we can see that this one is the year, and this
Mhm.
one is the concentration of carbon dioxide over the 5 decades. We have seen that the carbon dioxide concentration has risen in terms of parts per million,
Mhm.
and now it represents a greater than 20% increase since the 1960s. So this increase in carbon dioxide concentrations that is here, as well as other greenhouse gases such as methane. The increase in carbon dioxide concentration is directly proportional to the global temperature. As we can see from the graph that as the concentration of carbon dioxide increases, the temperature also increases. So last time I related that this increase in global temperature is known as global warming. That's how it is related. From this.
Good.
And then at the current rate of greenhouse gas increase, it is projected that the average global temperature may increase by another 3.6 degree Fahrenheit by 22nd century. However, the exact amount of warming that will occur in the coming century depends largely on the energy choices we make now and in the coming years. particularly since those choices it directly influence how fast we put greenhouse gases into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So this is the statistic I came up because last time I related with the greenhouse gases and then the climate
Yes.
change.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Good work. Good work. Okay. Very
Okay,
good.
Ajahn. Now we will talk about the impact.
Mm-hmm.
So here is our impact of climate change. My friend will explain on it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain about impact of climate change. So we start with rise in sea level.
Mm-hmm.
Rising in sea level are a result of climate change. The global average sea level has risen around 8 inches or around 20 centimeter in last 100 years. And the climate expert estimate it to rise even faster in the next 100 years as a result of the climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Coastal cities such as New York are already experiencing an increase in flooding event, and many of these cities may need seawalls to survive by 2050.
Mm-hmm.
Sea level are anticipated to rise 1 to 4 feet. It's around 30 to 100 centimeter in numerous small Pacific island states, well-known beach resort, and also coastal city. According to estimate, sea level could rise by as much as 20 feet or around 6 meter if Greenland ice cap and or the Antarctic ice shelf collapse in undating large part of Florida, the Gulf Coast, and the New Orleans and the Houston. As you can see in the graph, that it keep increasing by like 10 years, 20 years, 30, 200. So the next one, melting ice. So melting ice, according to the projection, within the next 100 years, if not sooner, the world glacier as well as polar ice cap and the massive Antarctica ice shelf will have vanished. Like Greenland will be green again. Exactly, Greenland is like full of ice, right? But their land is like Greenland. So yeah, and the snow will become rare and occur at what are now in the world most popular ski resort. So for the third one, strong storm and flood. While the particular condition that causes rain will not change, climate change will have an impact on amounts of water in atmosphere, resulting in more surf downpour rather than steady showers when it does rain. The power of hurricanes and typhoons will grow and flood will become more common. So the fourth one, Sankey will explain about heat waves and droughts.
Heat waves and drought are also one of the impact of climate change. Droughts and protracted heat waves will become more common as we can see from the pictures here. And despite downpours in some areas, rising temperatures are unsurprising, but that does not rule out the possibility of record-breaking cold and devastating winter storms in some parts of the world. Because heating disrupts the entire global weather system, shifting both cold and hot upper air currents. Climate change is not refuted by single snowballs or snowstorms. However, hot, dry places will become increasingly hotter and drier, while temperate areas with regular rainfall will become much hotter and drier. The recent streak of record high temperature years and record number of global droughts will become the rule, not the exception, as they have appeared. Here, from the data, we can see the potential for drought by the end of this century. The scale with the different color, it depicts the risks. As you can see from the data given here, there from at different parts of the world, there are high risks, moderate risks, and then the low risks. High risks, it means drier than current conditions. Moderate risks, it means similar to current conditions, and then the low risks means whether this it's like wetter than the current condition. Okay, the next impact. The next impact of climate system is change in ecosystem. Climate change has the potential to modify where species dwell, how they interact, and when biological processes occur, thereby transforming ecosystem and food webs. Climate change, it has the possibility or potential to exceed ecosystems' ability to cope with catastrophic events and disturbances like wildfires, floods, and drought. Climate change has an especially negative impact on mountain and Arctic habitats and organisms. Projected warming could hasten the extinction of species, particularly in vulnerable areas. The data I showed here, it is the 21st century ecological sensitivity. The scale depicts the ecological sensitivity from the 0 to 100%. Now, the last impact we have is the reduced food security. Global agriculture is one of the most noticeable effects of rising temperatures. Amidst these effects vary greatly between the relatively temperature developed world and the more tropical developing world. As we all know that different crops grow best at different temperatures, and when those temperatures vary, so does their yield. It is known that the rising temperatures in North America, for example, may lower corn and wheat output in the Midwest, but increase production and productivity north of the border in Canada. Rice, the primary meal of more than a third of the world's population, it loses 10% of its production for every 10 degrees Celsius increase in temperature. As you can see here in the data, that is climate-induced percentage change in production in 2050. Despite tremendous improvements in rice technology and ever larger fertilizers applications in the past, forecasted temperature rises in Thailand, the world's largest producer of rice, are expected to reduce productivity by 25% by 2050. This is the prediction the researchers have come up with. Simultaneously, worldwide population estimates suggest that by 2050, the developing world will have added 3 billion people. That implies that the developing world food producers will need to stable food crop production that will keep up with current food consumption level. If I talk a bit about these graphs, the second graph, that is the climate change impacts on production. The majority of modeling studies has agreed that the climate change impacts on crop yields will be negative from 2030 onwards, because nearly half of projections beyond 2050 indicate that the yield decrease is greater than 10%. And the last graph, it says that the 4 to 5 degrees global warming will be occurred by 22nd century, that is 2100, and then the 10% of food will be lost for each 1% of warming, and then we will need 150% more food by peak people. So that's all we have come up with the impact of climate change.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very good. Good work. Good work. So I will share my screen a little bit. Good work. Then a little bit more. So you did a very good job. However, as a teacher is someone who has to do the student better, better, and better. Even you did a good job, I will push you to be better, better, and better. You did a good job already. But again, if you can, if you can. Something like this. We said that we have a strong storm and flood. Maybe if you can, we can find some evidence to see that, for example, if in some country or like a global, we can find like a graph showing, for example, frequency. This is the frequency. How many times we have flood per year? Or this year no flood. Okay, so this time is time. And then maybe it's global, then we can have the graph like this. So it means that this one, we have the evidence by statistics that, okay, after climate change, so before climate change, it should be like this. And then it increasing. So with the climate change, we have a trend of increasing the frequency of flood, or frequency of storm, something like this, if you can. Otherwise, it's good enough. And something like the definition of something that we don't know, that we will understand better than this if we can clarify what is the meaning of the definition of ecological sensitivity. What does it mean 100%? Something like this. Put some definition of ecological sensitivity. Something like this. Then we will have a feeling of, oh, 100% ecological sensitivity. So it's something like that. And then something like this also, change in production. Change in production. So the definition. Okay, if you can, then each graph, you have to put source. Okay. Something like this, and then the organization. Good work. Good work. Thank you very much, Naka. And then Red Panda. Thank you very much, Naka. Peace. Good job,ค่ะ.
Thank you.
Then I stop my screen. ครับผม Red Panda. Red Panda. Red
ครับ
Panda.
ผม
ครับผม Please share your screen ครับ
ได้ครับแป๊บนึงนะครับ
แชร์ยังครับ
ดูมีอันนี้เหรอ อ๋อ อาจารย์ไม่ได้อันนี้เลยหรอกหนูไม่ได้ส่งมาให้อาจารย์อันเนี้ย
อ๋อ ผมส่งไอ้ที่แก้อันแรกไปครับ แล้วลืมส่งอันที่ 2 เดี๋ยวผมส่งให้หลังพรีเซนต์แล้วกันนะ
ส่งมาเลยจะได้คอมเมนต์
อ๋อ โอเคครับ
ส่งมาในไลน์กลุ่มเลยลูกส่งมาในไลน์กลุ่มไม่อย่างนั้นครูก็คอมเมนต์ยากลูกครูต้องเขียนลงไปส่งมาในไลน์กลุ่มนะครับ
กำลังโหลดครับ
โอเคลูกได้แล้วครับได้ไฟล์
so let's start we will talking about the impact of climate change and I will talk about the environment first. So impact of the climate change more frequent and intense. Drought, storm, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glacier, and warming ocean can directly harm animals, destroy pests, and some people's livelihood. As climate change worsens, dangerous water events are becoming more frequent or severe. So let's talk about water. Uh, in water, flooding is an increasing issue as our climate change compared to the beginning of the 20th century. There are both stronger and more frequent abnormally heavy precipitation events across most of the United States or other countries. And for more example is drought. Drought affect our life in many different ways because water is such an important part of so many of our activities. We need water to live and also animal planets do too. We need water to grow the food we eat also.
Well, on human health, climate change is already impacting human health. Changes in weather and climate pattern can put life at risk. It is one of the most deadly weather phenomena as ocean temperature rise. Hurricanes are getting stronger and wetter, which can cause direct and indirect deaths. Dry conditions lead to more wildfire, which bring many health risks. Higher incidence of flooding can lead to the spread of waterborne disease, injuries, and chemical hazards. Next one, effect on wildlife. Climate variability and change affects bird life and animals in a number of ways. Birds lay eggs earlier in the years than usual. Plants bloom earlier, and mammals come out of hibernation sooner. Distribution of animals is also affected with many species, moving closer to the poles as a response to the rise of global temperature. And thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good information. Please stop your screen. Then I share my screen. And then I can the same as the first group, not the first group, the same as the group number 3, YEET group. So you give us the good information concerning the impact of the climate change, but what is missing, and I would like you to have awareness, and I would like to emphasize this one to all of you, is you have to think a little bit more about the how it can occur, how climate change gives the impact of to flood, and then what is the evidence as the other group, as the group of Fong, group of Sanke, something like this, as they try to show the evidence. Okay, the flooding, drought, the same. How climate change gives the impact to drought. We have climate change, and what is the impact, the mechanism, how drought occur with the climate change, and what is the evidence to show us, to show that, okay, when we have the climate change, we have more frequency of drought occur in Thailand, in global, in Africa, anywhere. Okay, like that. The same, we have the impact of climate change on health, then how it impacts, and then the evidence to show that, oh, it is true that we have the impact of climate change on the human health. Okay, another thing, the same effects on wildlife, the same where all over the world, and how it impacts the climate change and how it impacts the wildlife. and where is the evidence. Okay, understand นะคะ the same as the group, so you can improve these and give it to me next week, another group, last group นะคะ then we will conclude. Thank you, you have the
อา
good
จารย์ครับ
information ครับ
พอดีผมมาไม่ทันเช็คชื่อครับ
ครับใครครับลูก
ธนพลเรืองทองครับ
ใครนะลูกอีกทีที่
ธนพลเรืองทองครับ
ธนพลโอเคลูก
ครั
ครับ
ขอบคุณ
ผ
ครับ
มครับ so I stop my screen the last group no name group no name group ครับแหม no name group อยู่ไหมเนี่ย group number 6ลูก hello ภูรินทร์ใช่ไหมลูกภูรินทร์
ครับอาจารย์
อยู่ไหม
อยู่ครับ คือผมไม่รวมกรุ๊ปนัมเบอร์อะไร
นั่นน่ะภูรินทร์ลูก no name group อ่ะ
โอเคครับ
ภูรินทร์ไม่มีชื่อกลุ่มอ่ะเอาชื่อกลุ่มให้ครูดิไม่มี
ได้
ชื่อกลุ่มครูก็ตั้งชื่อเป็นกลุ่ม no name group
ได้ครับอาจารย์ โอเคเดี๋ยวแชร์สกรีนแป๊บหนึ่งครับ
ครับผม Okay, I can see screen very well. You can start now.
Okay. Today we were talking about climate change impact. The physical mechanism that cause greenhouse gas to warm the planet, commonly known as the greenhouse effect, are well understood and we scientifically demonstrated beginning at the mid of 1800 until now. And the greenhouse effect is natural process without a greenhouse gas in the Earth's atmosphere, and the average temperature on the surface of the Earth would be about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. However, human activity have led directly to increase the greenhouse gas concentration, and therefore an enhanced greenhouse effect cause warming of the Earth's surface. And this is a graph average the month of global surface temperature by individual ENSO, volcanic, solar, and human cause influence. And this is a global climate is projected to continue to change over the century and beyond. The magnitude of climate change beyond to the next few decades depend primarily on the amount of heat trapping gas emitted globally. Because human in dark warming in superimposed on the natural varying climate. The sea level rise maybe another 1 to 8 feet by 2100. This ice melting in the polar. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good information. You are alone, but next time you put more evidence, okay? As I explained to the other group, นะคะ
ครับ
Okay ครับลูก thank you. So now we will go back to we will conclude today นะคะ and we will conclude what shall we do next นะคะลูก Okay, now let's see. So today I appreciate everyone did the good work. You have a very short time, only few days, because you do not study only my subject. We have many subjects, I understand, and I don't want to give you too much assignment because I want you to study relaxing, and this thing is something that extra thing that you should know. We will not be so serious, but I appreciate everyone. I would like to conclude that today we know first, last time we know the definition of climate change, and we try to put more on its mechanism, how it can occur. And today we know the impact, various impact of climate change, right? And today I would like you to add more details. So next week you do the same assignment but more details. Okay, more details as I suggest you. โอเคไหมลูกเข้าใจอยู่เนาะ โอเค everyone โอเคไหมคะ
โอเคครับ
Okay, Ajahn.
Okay.
โอเคครับ
Thank you. So next time, the same assignment, but put more detail. Some group put more impact on more aspects. Some group put more evidence. Some groups put both more impact, more evidence, and more mechanism. Okay, so try to do it as much as we can. So next time, same chapter, impact of climate change on various aspects, and then prepare next time after next time when we finish the presentation of this improvement. Next time we have to select each group will not do the same thing. At the end of next time teaching, we will select. You see that we have the first thing that is the global warming is sure, but this global warming has the impact of many things. Sometimes global warming give the direct impact to infrastructure, right? And global warming give the impact to the another thing is ice melting. And after ice melting, it would impact to sea water level rising. And with this sea water level rising, we have to relate to what? What we want to see is the infrastructure or our engineering work. Global warming can make more rainfall. And with the flood problem, it gives impact to infrastructure. It gives impact to our engineering project. The same. We have the impact of global warming and it gives the impact to drought. ใครยังเปิดไมค์อยู่ลูกจับชมพลลูกครับลูกเสียงมันดังเข้ามาลูก and then with the global warming we have the impact on drought, and drought also give the impact to our engineering project. So we have two things. So the first thing we will emphasize on the climate change or global warming to what we want to select to study. And then after that, we will, for example, flood. First thing, we emphasize on this next time. After presentation, we will select global warming or climate change. Flooding, and then flooding give the impact to our work, our project, or infrastructure, or engineering project. First, we will study this first. Relationship of this one. But if you select this one, you select some focusing area. And then because after this, we have to continue on your group to what about the impact of flooding on our project. And then the last thing, what about our new design? Our new design. Engineering design. If you select this one, drought, then next time we see that what about this one? Phenomena between drought and this one. More evidence and select some area. And then we can go in depth, and then this route give impact to our engineering project. And then what about our new design? So this will be the end of our course. So we go step by step. Okay, good work. So next time not much work, right? So see you next week นะคะ question มี question ไหมคะเด็ก
เข้ามาเช็คชื่อไม่ทันครับ
ๆนี่ชื่อไม่ทันค่ะลูกโอเค
เช็คชื่อไม่ทันครับ
ชื่ออะไรคะลูก
ชื่อพมพลครับ
พมพลครับลูกโอเคพมพลโอเคลูกได้
ขอบคุณมาก
question
อาจารย์
ครับลูก question หมดแล้วนะ no question so thank you very much everyone good students then see you next week นะคะ
ขอบคุณครับอาจา
สวัสดี
ร
ครั
ย์
บอาจารย์ครับ
บายบาย
ขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank
ส
you,
วัสดี
Ajahn.
ค่ะ very good work สังเกตบายบาย